Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won one.
Yeah. Man.
I hope my team they won one.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won one.
Yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington and Charles are both on assignment. So I want to welcome in. We'll have some guests bringing in. Then we're going to have our old buddy, AD Drew, join us as he always is able to bring it and make sure that we can get things done. Charles is out there calling the baseball game over there at Texas Southern University as they play a non-conference game against Wiley College, I believe it is. With that being said, welcome to episode 651 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host today is AD Drew, to give us some updates. 10. We'll find out what he is speaking about with 10. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. As they say, you can see I'm in the hotel. Yes, I'm on the road, and I'm on the road in Denver, Colorado for the AERA Curie, where you have the deans looking at education research, doing some of our pre-conference meetings, getting that done to make sure that HBCUs, particularly Texas Southern University, is represented at these institutions. With that being at these organizations as well, I should say. With that being said, how you doing today, Drew?
Brother, I am doing fine. I'm doing fine. You know, been blessed the last couple of days. We've been allowed to work kind of remote this week in the athletic department as we start winding down the athletic season. So brother can get used to this, just having to go across the house instead of across town to handle business, because
yeah, I'm sure, especially in a city like Atlanta, traveling can get it intriguing in the morning or afternoon.
Yeah, I told unfortunately, our compliance person did have to go to the office, and I was talking with him today, and I was like, bro, there's nothing that I have to get done in the four walls of Morehouse that I cannot get done at my house.
No doubt. Good stuff. Good stuff. With that being said, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, I'm excited. I get back into town tomorrow and Thursday. We start off with our HBCU Ecosystem Symposium. So excited about what will take place there, where we have some students bringing in some of the commissioners of HBCU programs, namely the SWAC and SIEC. So that's Dr. Charles McCullen and Dr. Anthony Holloman will be there Thursday, giving some insight in terms of getting in the collegiate business space. And then one of them will be talking about how do you not only get in, how do you thrive? So I'm excited about that opportunity. And then on Friday, bringing in some ADs, some influencers to talk about AI and HBCU sports, as well as brand, cultivation and some other ideas in terms of that space. So that'll be at Texas Southern University College Education. That's April 24th and 25th, Thursday and Friday this week. So that is brought to you by the Center for Africana Futures, College of Education, Department of Health, Kinesiology and Sports Studies, and the Department of Athletics. So I'm excited about that. For those in the area, you can go to the website and look for Texas Southern University Center of Africana Futures, and you can register for that if you have an interest in seeing it live. We'll look at streaming it, so we'll give you some updates if we can get that done, whether we stream it live or tape it and then put it back out there. With that being said, what is some news of the day, Drew? What's on your mind in the HBCU space?
This is my prop for my story.
10
is that Florida A&M wins the SWAC women's tennis title. This comes from SWAC.org. Why do I keep holding this up, Dr. Cavil?
I want to know.
Since 2021, says Florida A&M joined the SWAC. This is championship number
10. Okay, I get it. I like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, you know, as I continue with my Wilt Chamberlain imitations, overall, MEAC and MEAC SWAC, SIAC.
200. Okay.
200 conference championships all time. Florida A&M through the three conferences that they have been a member of. Once again, SIAC, MEAC, and SWAC. So
yeah, there's only a few conferences out there that have been able to win championships in 3 different conferences, particularly when you start looking at Division I. You know, that list even goes smaller. Some of it is just because, you know, Division I classification for HBCUs essentially starts when 78, when schools start to see the change and you make a decision. And then you only have a few teams that have changed conferences, which puts the number at a few in terms of what it looks like. So that's a good thing to be able to look at 10 in the SWAC since becoming a member. Good number there in multiple sports. And 200 is certainly a number to be proud of in terms of the Florida A&M Rattlers. They believe in championships, that's for sure.
Yeah, just gotta get a winter championship, and we'll come back to that story a little bit in just a second, Dr. Cavil, because
you got fall football, spring, got volleyball, spring baseball.
We can't get the round ball right, but I think that may be on the new horizon with the other news if we come back around to it, Dr. Cavil. But
certainly come back around to it.
Got to start with the champions. Florida A&M defeated, I'm going to give them their respect, Jackson State, because, you know, we know what we call them in Twitterverse. Jackson State Lady Tigers 4-2 on Sunday at the 2025 SWAC Women's Tennis Tournament. The win by Florida A&M marked the Dr. Cavil second league tournament title in the past 3 seasons. And Dr. Cavil, let me take this one step further. This is not in the notes, but the second SWAC championship in the last 7 days, Dr. Cavil. Nice. After winning golf earlier in the week, they close out the week with the tennis title. FAMU has claimed a regular season or postseason title for 3 consecutive years. Florida A&M Sarah Rakim was named the 2025 SWAC Women's Tournament Most Valuable Player after helping lead her team to a championship. Rakim was joined on the All Tournaments team by teammates Reagan Harris and Genesis Whitlock, and the rest of the All Tournament team will be Clenine. Excuse me if I mispronounce your name. Clenine Pickle from Alabama State, Sharia Deja from Jackson State, and Kaylee Dieterins also from Jackson State, joining the 3 Rattlers on the all-tournament team.
Yeah, you're talking about getting it done. Good work by the Rattlers. Since we're talking about tennis, let's go to the other side. Fortunately, Jackson State was in the final Unfortunately, they were not able to win the championship. In this case, though, it goes to the men of Alabama State. Alabama State SWAC men's tennis tournament title. Alabama State Hornets defeated the Jackson State Tigers 4-0 on Sunday in the 2025 SWAC men's tennis tournament. So big news there. Alabama State getting it done. You talking about MVP went to Alabama State, David Granault, getting it done. Some other folks on the all-tournament team were David Leon, Alcorn State, Yawan Vaquero, Jackson State, Moss, Scottianus, Jackson State, Lon Aburro, Alabama State, and Alexandria Verlaquette from Alabama State as well. So shout out to Alabama State getting it done in terms of the men's championship. With that, let me go back to you, Drew, and I think this is the time where you can get into the other announcement when you're talking about the winter ball, as some Rattler fans are excited on that side in terms of the announcement that people had heard about, but it became official with the press conference, with all the traditional changing of the guard when the hat is adorned and the colors are out and speech is made by the incoming coach along with all the dignitaries, often including the president, certainly ADVP are involved in some other dignitaries. But the announcement, I won't take it any further than that and let you put that out there.
Let me set this up. I think I got just enough time to set this up before we go to our first break, Dr. Cavil. Last year, when FAMU went through the fiasco with the previous head coach, Patrick Crary, now of Grambling State University, I made the public comment that no matter what, Patrick Crary would not be the head coach at FAMU in 25-26, because if he has since he was on a 1-year contract, if he has a bad season, he's out. If he has a good season, someone's going to come and get him. Well, somebody did come and get him. Dr. Travion Scott got him and got him moved to Louisiana, which leads to this story. And shout out to Brian Fulford, without any knowledge. He say he didn't have any knowledge, but Doc, you know, Angela Suggs, his husband, and Brian used to be roommates in college. I'm just gonna leave it right there. But he predicted it last Thursday on the Fangs Up podcast that this was going to go down. He talked about it on the ONG Strike Zone. It has come to pass that Charlie Ward has been named the new head coach at Florida A&M. Let me back that up. I did not get that the proper introduction. Charlie Ward, NBA veteran, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, has been named the 16th head coach at Florida A&M University. From AD Angela Suggs, today marks an exciting new chapter in our men's basketball program as we proudly welcome Charlie Ward, a true legend and exceptional leader. Ward brings with him a championship mindset and a wealth of experience that will undoubtedly ignite a new level of inspiration and ambition in our student athletes. His arrival is a game changer for our program. That last sentence sums it up. His arrival is a game changer. Charlie Ward has deep roots at Florida A&M University, although he attended the school across the railroad tracks. Both of his parents are graduates of Florida A&M University. His parents met at Florida A&M University. Charlie Ward was born in the hospital that used to be at Florida A&M University, where the current administrative offices are at. Charlie Ward is in the process of opening up a recreation complex on the south side of town, near where Florida A&M is located. And the most important thing about this, Dr. Cavil, we do not have to pay relocation expense for Coach Ward because he was already in Tallahassee, close at Florida State High School, and it's a doggone shame. And I'm a Seminole fan. I'm going to admit that one of my non HBCUs are the Florida State Seminoles. That they did not consider this man who was coaching their high school team as a new head coach. So the interesting thing out of this, Dr. Cavil, two things. Two new head coaches in Tallahassee for both Division I programs, Florida State and Florida A&M. Which one is going to get more buzz in Tallahassee? And the question that we asked on the Sports Lab on Sunday, I don't know if you were still watching, which hire is going to have the bigger impact in HBCU land? Michael Vick at Norfolk State or Charlie Ward at Florida A&M, especially considering their family ties to their respective institutions?
Great question, and we can ask the lab listeners to go ahead and drop that thought and see if their comments in terms of who they think. I know I did watch the show. Great comments, and a lot of folks had their thoughts on that, and you even took a poll, which I thought was pretty unique to get that out there. With that, let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to jump to baseball, talk about some of the updates to the races and see who is at the top. We have a changing of the guard. We'll talk a little bit about that.
We ain't got to talk about it.
As we start the second half of the season, we'll talk a little bit about that, and you'll see why Drew is not all that excited to talk about that. But a lot of teams tied in the mix for second, where things are a little bit interesting. But we'll talk about the rest of that right after this first break.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with AB Drew. Let's talk a little bit about the SWAC baseball race. It's heating up. Got a change of the guard at the top of the conference. But it's still early, so we'll get in a little bit more about that in just a second. Let's look at the bottom four teams that are right now outside of the playoffs. If things started this weekend, Alcorn State would be out 1-17, 6-30 overall. They've lost 3 straight. Alabama A&M, they're also outside looking in, 2-16 in the conference race, 10-29. They won their last game. Yeah, Prairie View that is really struggling. They're at 4-11, 8-31 overall. They've lost 14 straight, including several sweeps in conference play. And then you have Mississippi Valley State. They sit at 6-12. They have won their last contest. They're outside looking in, but they're knocking on their door. They're right outside the next four. Let's talk about that a little bit, Drew. Any surprises in the bottom four for you? And if they are, what are they?
And I don't know how to quantify this. The fact that Southern jumped out of the bottom four is probably a bigger surprise right now. The fact that they were even in there, and Valley is, Valley's one series from sixth place, seventh place, Dr. Cavil.
Yeah. All right.
So, shout out to the Delta Devils. So if we want to talk about a couple of things, the fact that Valley is in contention, number one, and PV is not in contention. Those are the two biggest things in those bottom four that I'm looking at, Dr. Cavil.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly. Prairie View, that they're in the bottom four, certainly stands out to me. Most people thought they would at least be in that top eight, fighting for that. And they're clearly outside of that top four. They got a lot of room to make up in the fact that they're lost 14 straight. I also agree with you at Mississippi Valley State. I think most people would have had them maybe in the bottom four, but clearly outside. They wouldn't even have a stroke to be in there. And the fact that they're just one game behind Southern that's in that next four, I think is a major statement.
And they last series they defeated Florida A&M, which, and we'll get to it in a minute, gave Bethune the opportunity to go up by 3 games. And them, instead of those teams coming in, FAMU coming in with a 1-game lead, they actually came into that series tied with Florida A&M because of the loss to who, Dr. Cavil, last week? Not this past weekend, 2 weekends ago?
Yep.
Mississippi Valley to close out that series.
And then they also got a win this past week against Alabama State.
Correct.
That took Alabama State in terms of getting sweep. So they find a way to get some wins, and they're getting wins against good competition, and they have some tough losses. I mean, they're this close to taking 2 out of 3, whether it's for FAMU or Alabama State, to your point. So yeah, they're playing really good baseball.
And if you're a Valley against those top 3 teams, that's all you can hope for. Can I get one? And then against those other teams ahead of you, can you win the series? Can you get 2 out of 3? And then dare I say it, Dr. Cavil, you're going to be expected, if you're a real player, to sweep those teams below you. So we'll wind up seeing what the true Valley is. Yeah.
Let's get into these next 3. I'm gonna leave the top 5 since they're all with similar records there. Some of them exactly the same records. So I'm gonna go with the next 3, which gets us into that Southern. Southern is 7-11, 15-23. They've lost 4 straight, including the series lost to in the last couple of games. Alcorn last week. So Southern is struggling quite a bit. And Pine Bluff getting it done, which is going to set up some interesting matches. But before we get to Pine Bluff, you got Jackson State sitting at 8-10, 20-17 overall. They've won 3 straight. Had a big sweep they needed over Alabama A&M to get those victories. Even though they had a couple of close games, they were able to pull them out, and it's put them in a much better position as they were struggling in terms of being in that bottom 4. They're clearly outside of that. And then you have Pine Bluff, which to me, of these 3, I don't know what is more surprising, that Southern and Jackson State are struggling to this degree, or the fact that Arkansas Pine Bluff is playing some good baseball, sweeping Texas Southern a couple of weeks ago, then getting a sweep this past weekend in Southern. They sit at 9-6. They've won 3 straight, playing some really good baseball, which is going to set up for some good games going down the stretch to see can they stay in their position, can they make a round and get even closer in terms of what takes place. I'm interested in your thoughts on these 3. Are you similar to what I'm thinking, or are you going in a different direction in terms of Southern, Jackson State, and Arkansas Pine Bluff?
I definitely have to go with Arkansas Pine Bluff is the story of these three teams. The fact that they are in, and for the first time since expansion, that we may have a different team in the tournament, Dr. Cavil,
Right.
with Arkansas Pine Bluff replacing Prairie View in the tournament. And I'm going back to it, Dr. Cavil. I know we moved on, but dare I say, possibly two new teams
Yeah, I was going to say, you might have
in the tournament. You know, I mean, we still got the back half of the season to go, Dr. Cavil, but it's, you know, I'm starting to see the picture. The sketch is there. Now we're starting to paint the colors. You know, number 1 is red, number 2 is black. We're starting to paint the picture here, Dr. Cavil. The fact that Jackson State and Southern are struggling, surprising, not shocking though. And Dr. Cavil, I wonder, especially as we get into talking about these last 5 teams, what we're seeing now, a product of the new scheduling format in SWAC baseball, where everybody plays one series against each other. There's one opponent you will not get to play on a rotating basis, instead of East beating up on East, West beating up on West. Is what we're seeing a product of the new scheduling format?
I think it's a great question. Look a little more into it. I'd love to see. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, how the East had a significant record, almost 66%, if you would, over the West. I would wonder what that record is now. Has it improved? Has it decreased, or has it stayed the same? To your point, to kind of see what is driving these factors. So it's going to be fascinating going down the stretch in terms of where the seedings are at the top of the conference, who gets the regular season championship, to me, which is a little more significant than when it was just in divisions, which was important as well. But now you get to crown yourself conference regular season champions among all 12 teams, which is a major statement in terms of playing everybody on the road. You take your lumps and your victories depending on how schedule goes, but you do it over that period, you know, that's like running the mile relay. You're making a major statement. Let's look at these top 5. Go ahead.
Can I get one last thing on that? Should Valley overtake Southern? It would be interesting that it would be 5-3 in the first year of this. If Southern is not able to hold on right now, you still have your basic 4-4, 4
Correct.
East, 4 West. Although the tournament seedings would be totally different than what we've seen before, where East teams will be taking on East teams in the first round, West teams will be taking on West teams in the first round. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this plays out over the next 4 weeks.
I agree, especially when I think you get to that second round of the playoffs in terms of the potting. How does that look? And we'll get a chance as we get closer to that to talk about how different it format looks, what we've seen in the past, which would have had the number 1 seed in one division playing the number 4 seed in the opposite division. It's going to be fascinating to see versus number 1 playing number 8 and how that breaks down between the two divisional formats going through the tournament. With that being said, let's look at these top 5. We have a 4-way tie for second place.
Everybody 13-5, but Bethune.
Exactly. So you have Grambling State, Texas Southern, Alabama State, and FAMU. Specifically, you have Grambling State 13-5, but they're 18-19 overall. They've won 7 straight, so they're playing really good baseball. Texas Southern 13-5, 19-20. They swept Prairie View after getting swept by Pine Bluff. They've won 3 straight. They're playing tonight, as we said. And you have Alabama State 13-5. They lost 1. Overall record is 21-20. They lost that to Mississippi Valley. Then you have FAMU. They got swept Bethune-Cookman 13-5. Huge series. They knocked FAMU out of first place, 19-18. They lost 4 straight, struggling a bit there. But Bethune-Cookman is hot, 16-2, 24-17. They lost 1. They had a game yesterday after having that sweep over FAMU. So it's fascinating when you look at those teams. What are your thoughts in terms of the top of the conference? Again, not to belabor the point, but you have 4 teams sitting in the second place at 13-5. 2 of them out of the East, 2 of them out of the West. But when you look at those top 5, 3 out of the 5 are out of the East. with the East having the top 3 spots.
You know something, Dr. Cavil, the schedule makers must play the lottery. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, Dr. Cavil, because this gluttony right here, we'll get a little bit of clarity this weekend as all 4 of those teams that you mentioned at a time play each other. So, I mean, the schedule makers just golden right now. They doing better with the schedule than somebody's doing better with the tariffs on the economy. We just gonna say it like that. But no, it's refreshing to see this. Texas Southern, Power, Grambling doing what they doing, but Texas Southern and Grambling right now seem to be doing it with their bats, whereas Florida A&M, Bethune, and Alabama State seem to be doing it with the arms. So, and poor FAMU, number 1 pitcher, possibly out for the season.
That's a huge.
It's a long season in baseball, but it's a short season when somebody gets hurt, especially this time of the year, Dr. Cavil, especially somebody in your rotation. So, it's going to be interesting with this, but that school on the beach, Coach Johnny Hernandez. Let me give him respect. He earned my respect. He swept us this week. Bethune-Cookman, the Wildcats, are they not the class of SWAC baseball and black college baseball right now? Not only are they defeating SWAC opponents, Dr. Cavil, but they are defeating non-HBCU opponents.
Division I opponents.
Yes, Division I opponents. So SWAC baseball, Bethune, the state of Florida itself, but especially Bethune-Cookman. Watch out, world. This looks like this could be one of those special teams, Dr. Cavil.
Can Bethune-Cookman get that elusive SWAC championship? It'd be fascinating if it comes down literally to the last sport of the conference and Bethune-Cookman gets it done in baseball. They certainly are on the trajectory to do it in terms of the regular season. Gets a little interesting in the tournament, but they're setting themselves up well. Let's take our second break. We'll come back on the other side, and we're going to look at it at the Division II level. We're going to talk a little bit about the top rankings in the SIAC. I'll let Drew get out his specialty and tell us a little bit what's going on there. We'll talk about who's hot, who's not. Let's take our second break and we'll come back right back on the other side.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with AD Drew in the building, giving us some updates, and we're gonna let him shine a little bit because you know his expertise. While he can talk all sports, certainly HBCU is just like the other side of his hands, but the specialty that he really can bring to the table is what's going on at the NCAA Division II level, and as well as the NIA for that matter. We call it the mid-major level. Some people call it this time of season with the Black College Nines. They call it the small school division. We're going to focus a little bit on the SIAC and give them some love. We'll start at the top with Spring Hill. We'll get this out the way. They're the non-HBCU program. But they're the cream of the crop. So we're certainly going to show them the appropriate love. They are in the SIAC, and they're leading the conference at 27-2, 34-10 overall, winning 8 of their last 9 games. So they are doing what they're supposed to do. Are they ranked Division II, top 25? They have to be ranked, correct?
Who is that? Spring Hill?
Yes.
That's a good question. I looked it up while you continue on.
Okay, let's go to the rest, and we'll start from the bottom feeders, if you would, in the conference. I'll go with the last 2 in the conference. Kentucky State struggling mightily, pretty much the opposite of Spring Hill. They sit at 1-27. They're 3-36. Have lost their last 10 straight, more than that if you keep it counting. Then you have Lemoyne-Owen. They're 7-22, so a little better, but still struggling, 16-23. And they're just 3-7 in their last 10. Then you got the next 4 that are kind of in the same group. I'm going to put them together, which is Morehouse sitting at 10-20, 17-23. They're 2-8, so they really have gone on a downslide trend, as well as Lane that sits at 11-18 in the conference play, 11-28. So they've only been able to win conference games, and they are 2-8 in their last 10. Looking at the next 2, if you would, are both tied at 12-18. That's Tuskegee and Clark Atlanta. Tuskegee is 16-28 overall, while Clark Atlanta is 17-21. They are 4-6 in their last 10 and 5-5 respectively. I'm gonna stop right there and give you a chance maybe to talk about any of these teams: Kentucky State, Lemoyne-Owen, Morehouse, Lane, Tuskegee, and Clark Atlanta.
Before I get into it, they're number 25. Spring Hill is currently ranked number 25.
They just jumped in there sitting at 25.
In the Division II polls. Those teams that you mentioned, Lane, Tuskegee, Clark, and Morehouse. It's going to be interesting coming down this weekend, Dr. Cavil, because all of those teams they're fighting for 2 spots. All those teams are fighting for the number 7 and the number 8 spot, depending on what happens as far as wins, losses, tie breaks, and everything like that would determine who gets those last 2 spots in the SIAC. What you see with both these teams, you see teams that on a good day can beat anybody. And then there are those other days, Dr. Cavil, where the simplest thing, the teams can't execute consistently. So, and it could be from a fielding to pitching to batting approach to you name it. These teams have more of those days than those good days that we know a lot of our baseball teams have.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, let's get more into that next level. Those that are pushing towards the top of the conference, really chasing Spring Hill. which pretty much is over, but they're certainly setting themselves up in seeding. When I get to the tournament, what I like to look at is where you're going to be seed in terms of staying away from that number one seed, particularly if they're outpacing everybody. How do you push yourself to get to a championship type of game? Arms are tired. You can get one big bat, or you can get hot in a couple of games. To me, that's what you're looking at. How do you stay away from them? So let's look at what that means at this point. You told us the four teams, that is chasing likely that 7 and 8 seed, right? Certainly that 8 seed means you're going to be right there with Spring Hill. You don't want that. So you're looking at trying to be in that second, 6 type of seed, if you would, for a while to kind of stay away as long as you can, if you would. With that being said, Benedict sitting at 15 and 14. They're 21 and 16 overall, 4 and 6 in their last 10. So they struggle a bit. You have Miles that is 16 and 12 in conference play, 22, 21 and 1. They're 5 and 5 in their last 10. So they're playing right at 500, literally. And then you have where teams start to kind of separate themselves a little more, which is Albany State, that is really playing good baseball of late. 20-10 in conference play, 25 and 8.
They got their streak started against us.
Oh, wow. 8 and 2 in their last 10, so they won 8 of 10, starting the streak against Morehouse. And then you have Edward Waters is really playing some good baseball. They're at 22 and 8, 29 and 16, 8 and 2, similar to Albany State in terms of their last 10. Then you have Savannah State that closes it up at the top of the conference before you get into that number one, which we talked about at the beginning. Savannah State is sitting at 23 and 7, 28 and 10, and they've won 9 of their last 10. So they're really playing some good baseball. So not only do you have these teams that are fighting for each other, but they all playing good baseball. Savannah State, Edward Waters, and Albany State, really, to name them. So I'm interested. What are your thoughts in terms of those teams sitting right there in that position?
You know, the Savannah State 9 and 1 in their last 10. You know who that one is too, Dr. Cavil?
Who is that?
That would be Lamar Owen.
Wow. Sometimes it just happens like that.
Sometimes it just be like that. Edward Waters just wins. I don't know what Reggie Johnson does down there, but he just wins, Dr. Cavil. And I'm just not talking about tradition. I witnessed this last week. In games that they should not win, they find ways to win. They have that one big inning after you just had a good inning and retake control of the game. Albany State, the question with Albany State is, has their pitching come back around? You know, they had some pitching struggles early this year. So if their pitching holds up, you know, they've got the sticks. The question is, is their pitching peaking at tournament time? Miles, Benedict's a team that's sneaky good. Miles is going to get the track shoes out, Dr. Cavil. Miles is going to run and run and run again. So, you know, it's going to be a good final weekend in the SIAC. Spring Hill's already wrapped up the number one seed. So one thing to be, since they are ranked, we know that they're going to play these games to win and not just kind of quote unquote rest players to get ready for the tournament. But one thing I caution number one seed is be careful of throwing off on game one of the tournament, because the last couple of years in the SIAC tournament in particular, and I think we saw it in the SWAC tournament when we've seen an 8 beat a 1 on the day when that team has thrown off and thrown their number 2 guy instead of the number 1 guy, thinking that the number 2 guy is going to get it done against that quote unquote bottom dweller. So just a word of caution for those teams, because whichever one of those teams claim that last spot, Dr. Cavil, they'll be coming in hot.
That's true.
Because they're going to have to.
To get that.
They're going to have to in order to hold on to that last spot. So
that's right.
So just something to keep in mind.
I want to sneak in a little bit before we take this last break and come back and talk about some of those key SWAC games this weekend that we alluded to in the second segment. I want to show some love to HBCU AC. I'm going to talk about the top 3 teams in each division. Really want to focus on that number 1 team up there. And I'm fascinated in what this will look like in the tournament because there's a chance between the top 2 teams playing each other, and I think that would be fascinating. It doesn't always quite work out that way because somebody's going to throw a monkey wrench, and that's why I want to talk about the top 3 teams in each division that might throw in that monkey wrench. Starting with the West Division with Southern University, New Orleans. They sit at 20-20 overall, 16-11, just 1 game back of the second place team in the West Division, which is Dillard, that sits at 23-20, 17-10, playing some pretty good baseball. But the real team that's getting it done, that's really playing some excellent baseball, is coming out of Texas, and that's Wiley University, sitting at 31-13 overall, 23-4 in that West Division. Going to the East Division, we're going to start out with Voorhees University that sits at 21-17 overall, 16-11 in terms of conference play. And then you have Stillman just above them sitting at 23-20. They're 21-9, 2 games above Voorhees in terms of the loss column. But the cream of the crop is Talladega in the East Division, sitting at 33-14. They're 24-3 in conference play. So that Talladega and Wiley University game, they hadn't played in regular season. So if you can get that matchup on the tournament, we're going to do our job here to make sure people are aware that some good baseball is being played in the HBCU AC, particularly among those 2 teams, but do not want to leave out Stillman, Voorhees, Dillard, and Southern University of New Orleans playing some pretty good baseball themselves. As they get ready to go in the tournament, you're thinking that, hey, we get hot in this tournament, and we've seen it before in the HBCAC as they've recently brought back baseball with all these teams because they have actually, if you would, 10 teams in the conference, 11 teams, I should say, playing baseball, 6 in the East and 5 in the West. With expansion, you're going to bring in a couple of more as well with Paul Quinn and Houston Tillotson. That Tillotson has a pretty good baseball program down in that area. Let's take our last break. We'll come back on the other side, talk a little about some of these key games this weekend and see what Drew has to say about that.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with AD Drew. I want to get into some of these key matchups this weekend. You alluded to some. One that's interesting to me is this Mississippi Valley State Southern. Valley travels to Southern. Southern is not playing very good baseball right now. Valley's playing pretty good baseball. This is a chance for Southern to get back and clearly pretty much put some separation room between them and Valley. Or it can do the opposite, push Southern out, or certainly tighten things up with Valley squarely staying in position to be in the race to get that 8 seed, maybe pushing up to 7. You have a rivalry matchup here with Jackson State and Alcorn State. You would think Jackson State has a chance to sweep, which means they give themselves some more room than making a little more headway but does Alcorn find a way to fight as they kind of snuck some games out of Southern a couple of weeks ago? Can they get one Jackson State and find a way to do it, particularly with the games being in Norman? Also, one that's fascinating here is Texas Southern. Goes on the road to Montgomery. Alabama State, clearly a matchup between two teams that are tied in second place, 13-5, that AD Drew alluded to. The other ones that he's talking about with those teams fighting each other features Grambling State going to FAMU, Tallahassee. FAMU wants to get right as they were swept, lost 3 straight there. And Grambling State brought out the brooms. Can they go on the road and continue to play some good baseball? Can FAMU right the ship and get it done? So that's interesting there. Then you got 2 programs that are struggling, Prairie View A&M and Alabama A&M, the battle of the A&M. Prairie View travels to Huntsville, a long road trip. This is a chance for Prairie View to at least break that losing streak for sure. Or will Alabama A&M find a way to say, no, we don't want to do it against them, and maybe they can make things a little more interesting and catch up on some games, at least get closer outside of that bottom 4. But it'd be interesting from that perspective in that matchup. Then you have Bethune-Cookman, Arkansas Pine Bluff. This is probably one of the more interesting ones to me. Not so much from Bethune-Cookman playing good baseball, but Arkansas Pine Bluff has surprised everybody. They've won their last couple of series, including a road sweep against Texas Southern a couple of weeks ago that not many saw coming. And then they get it again as they play Southern. With that being said, it's in Pine Bluff. Long road trip flight for Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. They want to keep things going. But Arkansas Pine Bluff, the Golden Lions have a chance to make a statement. Can they find a way to get 2 out of 3 or just get 1? Certainly, I think would be a measure of where this program is heading with that being said. But I'm sure they want to get greedy and find a way to take the series. A lot to be talked about there. I want to know what direction you're going, Drew. What couple of games first stick out to you, and then we'll talk about a couple of more after that.
Woo! Kind of tough, Dr. Cavil, because my heart says Fairview Grambling, but my head may say Alabama State and Alabama State, Texas Southern. But the one I'm probably the most interested in is Valley and Southern.
Okay.
You know, that's kind of like you see the ambulance flying past you or the police cars flying past you.
Yep.
And you know it's something going on down there, and you really want to make that detour and turn when they turn just for out of curiosity. That's that Southern Valley matchup for me. So yeah. And then of course, I mean, heck, UAPB, Bethune. I mean, that's when is UAPB for real, Dr. Cavil?
Right.
We'll find out. We find out this weekend. Valley, Southern. I mean, throw them other 2 games out. Any of them other 4, you can't go wrong with them, Dr. Cavil.
Let's start with those teams that are tied at the top. Let's go with that Texas Southern, Alabama State. What intrigues you about that matchup? Texas Southern, and these are some interesting matchups because a lot of these teams are taking some good travel. I mean, these are not necessarily close matchups. And these teams are not used to making these kind of traveling plans before. So I'm intrigued about how that plays up. But let's start with this first. Coming out of Houston, Texas Southern goes to Montgomery, Alabama State. We hadn't seen this since conference expansion, not the most latter one, but even before that. Back in 98, 99, when the teams expanded to 10 teams, you went to 5-5 divisions. So it's been like this forever, even with the expansion when it went to 6 teams in each division. So you hadn't seen, these folks are not familiar with this matchup in terms of traveling Montgomery. So I'm fascinated from that perspective. What about you?
And that's what I'm fascinated with. We don't normally see this type of travel in conference, so I'm really going to be interested. Road teams, game 1 of all these series. where teams are taking these longer than normal longer than normal pilgrimages, Dr. Cavil. I mean, this is really going to be interesting. And I just lost my page where we had this at. Arkansas Pine Bluff going all the way down to Bethune. That's a hike.
No, actually, Bethune travels to Pine Bluff. So
I'm
Bluff
looking at it
up.
backwards. That's it's still a hike, no matter how
it's a plane
how
trip.
you get it.
Well, actually, I know this one they're flying.
Yeah, it's got to be a plane trip. Once again, Grambling to Florida A&M, probably a plane trip, but for Grambling, they might as well hop on the bus because they got to ride 2 to 3 hours to their nearest airport, and if they fly into Jacksonville, that's another 2 to 3 hours back to Tallahassee. That's 5 to 6 hours plus the time you spend in the airport just going through security. Hell, you might as well jump on the bus and get there by that time, Dr. Cavil.
That's a good point.
Southern Valley, that's a little bit more of a respectable trip.
Correct.
But it's really going to be interesting seeing how these road teams respond game one.
Yeah, I'm interested in terms of these road trips and how it will affect the arms, particularly as you said that game one, and then on Sunday, in terms of what that looks like. Are any of them trying to play double headers? We've seen that late with some of these road trips. So I'm fascinated with that one. You mentioned a little bit about that Bethune-Cookman, Arkansas, Pine Bluff. That gives me a lot of interest. But one that we started out with, at Mississippi Valley State and Southern. You mentioned the fact that had your interest. Valley's playing some good baseball. Southern is struggling. And you're even starting to hear some talk about the coaching down there. This is a game that coach wants to find at least 2 out of 3. And they got to find a way to play some good baseball more than anything. Certainly want those wins. So I'm curious about that. Does the chants grow louder if they somehow lose? And remember, this is in Baton Rouge. So Valley gets to come into Baton Rouge. If they can get 2 or 3, then we start talking about that mix. Now you're flipping the position. You got Southern the last 4 out. Valley right there with the head-to-head series. They basically would have tied records in conference play. But they would have the tiebreaker winning 2 out of 3 to get to the fact that they would be essentially tied with Southern having a 1-game lead at this point. So interested in that matchup. Do those talks get a little louder if Southern can't find a way to get 2 out of 3 or sweep Valley in this series?
How much louder you want them to get, Dr. Cavil? They already on the megaphone. You want them to go down? You want to ride down with the big bass speakers like we did back when we was in college, Dr. Cavil, with the 15s in the trunk? That's what you asking for, Dr. Cavil? That's how loud you want it to get.
So let's look at this a little bit. Let me know who you got. Jackson State, Alcorn State. I'm sure you're going with Jackson State to take the series. Do they get the sweep?
For the series? Yes. And
the sweep.
At Jackson State, I need a sweep.
Okay, good one. Prairie View, Alabama, A&M. Who you going with?
Do I really have to give that prediction, Dr. Cavil? Because this is almost a who cares series of the series that we're talking about, Dr. Cavil.
Hey, you just play the game.
I gotta go. I'm gonna go with my boy Paul. I gotta go with my boy Paul Bryant.
I like it. We'll save the Valley Southern for last, since that's the one we're kind of picking on. Texas Southern, Alabama State. Who takes the series?
Alabama State's the road team.
Alabama State's at home.
FS State's the home team. Texas Southern is the road team. I see Alabama State winning the bookends of this series, 1-3.
Good stuff. Let's go with the Grambling and FAMU. Who gets the series?
Yeah. Once again, you really want me to predict this one? You know which way I'm going with this one, Dr. Cavil. The question needs to be: do I predict sweep or do I just predict series?
Sweep or series?
I'm going. because of the uncertainty with our rotation right now, I'm just
Mhm.
going series, not sweep.
I agree with that. That's a good one. Bethune-Cookman in Arkansas Pine Bluff. One of the big ones on just the intrigue.
Would I be wrong for saying series Pine Bluff?
No, you surprised everybody. If it comes out, you're gonna look like a genius. Take 2 out of 3.
Coach Hernandez, you're still my boy, but I think I'm wishing more with that pick versus really thinking more with that pick. But Coach Hernandez, I need UAPB to win this series.
Last one, Southern Valley.
Hell, they do it to us all the time. Damn it, Valley, I need y'all to pick on somebody else. Get them Jaguars for me, man.
Exactly.
I'm tired of y'all getting FAMU and knocking FAMU off.
Well, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. Go ahead, Drew. I'm gonna let you get in the point.
I did want to get out some sad news. I don't know if you've heard the news yet on the passing of a colleague of yours and I's, Mr. Michael Coker, passed away today.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
if I look like
I was in serious condition yesterday, I did not hear the update. We certainly want to say our prayers and condolences to his loved ones. He's been an integral part of Black College baseball, writing for the Black College Nines, playing baseball itself, Ever Waters, helping with the team to put together the Black College World Series. And we'll find a way to keep his legacy alive. He certainly did a lot for that, but he's going to be a tremendous loss, particularly for his advocacy for HBCU baseball with the Black College Nines and the Black College World Series. Let's do a moment of silence for that. With that, Drew, go ahead and finish your thoughts. I'm so glad that you were able to put that out there. It's important that we recognize it.
Yeah, so I was a little bit inattentive during that last segment because I got the news as we were coming out the last segment, and I had to is this verified or is this just speculation? Because obviously, we don't want to break anything that we're not 100% confident with. But I did get it from a couple of different sources that he had passed away.
Transition, and now he's an ancestor.
Yeah, so it's a big loss for the HBCU baseball community. Good, bad, or ugly. It's a tremendous loss for the community. For what he tried to do, what he did accomplish, and some of the things that he was still trying to accomplish on his deathbed. So I'm done, Dr. Cavil. I'm done. I can't say too much more. I'm gonna lose it.
You did it appropriately, Drew, and I'm very proud of you in terms of the backstory and what we know. But the fact that you resolute, I think, says a lot about you. So I want to acknowledge you as well to making sure that you make sure that inside the HBCU Sports Lab and Black College Sports Network acknowledged what he did for Black College baseball. Yeah. With that being said, again, thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab, of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 o'clock. Standard time. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll give you some updates. Again, we're doing a symposium, so the plan is to still do the show, but we might give some updates, and we might even play part of the symposium during the show. So we'll give you an update if we're going to have a live show, or if we'll do a little bit of updates so you can get a sneak peek at that. With that being said, again, we want to thank you for listening. We look forward to Thursday as we give you some updates one way or the other. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. That's Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. It's DrKenyattacavil. It's DrKenyattacavil. inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Drew?
Of course.
Lecture? Drew?
Dismissed.